Recording in progress.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another great episode of the Wedding Film School Show. My name is Jared, here again with Jason McCutcheon in the house. Jason, how's it been?
Oh, it's great. I'm excited. What is it, May right now, middle of May. June is about to kick off. We're going to go crazy with weddings. And I'm excited. We got some new cameras coming in. I'm really excited about this new Lumix that we're getting, the SH2, right?
I'm glad you didn't.
S1H2.
I'm glad you didn't ask me what camera it was because we've literally been talking about like 3 cameras from Lumix, and
S1R2.
it's hard for me to keep track
S1.
of. I'm like, I just want the best one that Gerald Undone said was the best Lumix camera they've released. Whatever that one is, we got it. I copy and pasted it, and we got 4 of them. So
Yes. You did buy those?
no, you got them through
I'm trying
Lumix.
to. Yeah,
yes,
I'm trying to.
Yes.
Regardless, I'm excited about anytime I get to like play with a new tool. Not only because it's fun, which is, if you're listening to this, part of why we do this job is because it's fun. But the other,
It's definitely not for the money. I'll just say that.
no. But also because, like I always am like, I want to do a better job. I like the idea that like our clients are they signed up for one thing and then they're gonna get something better than they even paid for.
Yeah.
Like that's always exciting to me. And so we're about to have a really cool season and a lot of cool stuff. And of course I'm enjoying the podcast. And finally, I was gonna mention 2 things. One, we have this new channel we just launched called Wedding Film 101. If you're listening to this channel and you watch like Wedding Film School or listen to podcasts and you're like, that's too businessy, or that's a bunch of BTS or gear reviews. I want to learn how to shoot. I want to learn how to edit. I want to learn how to tell stories. I'm maybe newer in my, my journey here. Check out Wedding Film 101 on YouTube. We just dropped it yesterday. We're going to be trying to do multiple releases a week, at least for a period, and then maybe go to one a week. So check it out. It would mean a lot to us. If you head over there, subscribe, and just kind of like check out the content. And finally, this podcast is brought to you by Second Society. Head over to secondsociety.io. You can sign up. You can get awesome quality shooters to help you out. And more than anything, if you are a shooter and you're looking to work with some of the best in the industry, we always talk with Lindsay Conklin from LaRev. He's hiring off Second Society. All kinds of people. If you want to work with these people, you can literally find them and be like, hey, I want to work with Lindsay. He needs some help in Napa Valley, and that's a cool opportunity. So head over there, sign up, and you can work with the best or hire the best.
Hey, Jay.
Yes.
That was a really good ad read.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think that's the best one you've ever done.
What can I say? Every day you try to get better, you push yourself, and
not only was it was seamless between Wedding Film 101. I just want to give you
Thank
props.
you.
There's not enough of that love going around here. But,
yes.
So let's talk about our episode today.
Yes.
We have had the pleasure of attending a networking experience conference called Engage for the last. When was the first one we went to?
4 years?
2021?
No, 2020 we went.
Was it the end of 2020?
Yeah,
I guess it was.
It was the one where everyone got COVID.
Yeah, that one.
Bahamar.
It wasn't Engage's fault. It was, Actually, we didn't even know that everyone got COVID until we got home, and probably 6 months later, it was like everyone.
No, it was.
Was it?
Yeah, it was like a week after everyone. All the emails were like, everyone has COVID. Sorry.
I remember talking to people later on, and they were like, "Oh, yeah, everyone got COVID. Like people got stuck there. The whole thing. Yeah, fun stuff. Good times."
If you're gonna get stuck somewhere, though,
you know what?
Stuck at a 5-star resort in Bahamas.
I'll just say the whole COVID experience. I tend to forget a lot about
Dude,
it. Probably on purpose. My brain is like, don't want to think about it.
I talked to my wife about how traumatic that entire season was, especially in the event industry.
Yeah.
I don't even want to think about it.
But anyways, we've been going to a conference called Engage, probably just top tier wedding talent, some of the best, vendors and planners and photographers, filmmakers, every kind of random also vendors out there that, weathermen and everything. And we've just found it to be an awesome opportunity to learn about the industry and kind of what's going on, how things are evolving. And at one of these conferences, we had the pleasure to meet our guest. You were just at an Engage in Italy. Why don't you introduce our guest today?
Yeah. So today we have Lindsay Landman, and she is just a awesome wedding planner out of New York City, and she had a great talk at Castelfalfi in Tuscany that I really resonated with, and I thought it was really important for the industry to hear. And I was like, let's get her on the podcast. We've tried to do some stuff. It hasn't worked out, but today it worked out awesome. And so, Lindsay, how you doing?
I am good. So happy to be here. And Jared and I were seated next to each other at Engage in Nemacolin, and that's how we originally met. And then that really kicked us all off. So we have our double Engage connections.
Yeah, and he's much more charming than I am. So I'm glad he opened the door, and then I can slam it shut.
Right. That's right. Well, I'm delighted to see both of you. I also enjoy how you like divide and conquer on the Engage situation. Like each of you kind of takes one and holds down the fort.
Yeah.
Very wise.
It allows we have to draw straws for who gets like the better, locations, I guess, or what locations we're fighting for. But it's been good. I think that first one that we went to, we were there and we're just kind of like talking the same conversations, and like, wouldn't we rather go to like every Engage and just try to like spread out a little bit more? And it's kind of worked out. So
we also don't know what we're doing.
Yeah.
So, like,
I mean, that's the real secret that we can expose from the outset. Like no one really knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
So we're just kind of trying to figure it out together, I think. And I'm at almost 24 years in business. So I can attest to the fact I'm still figuring it out every day.
Yeah. I mean, I just want to give myself as many opportunities to get lucky as possible. So,
you make your luck, man. You got it.
That's it.
Yeah. So Lindsay, I really, like I said, enjoyed the talk because I think our industry suffers from a bit of a truth vacuum from time to time, where no one has the conversation that we actually want to have. We just kind of, I don't really know. Everybody, it's a lot of good vibes, and I think a lot of well-meaning kind of people, but a lot of times, like how many times do I need to hear that I need work-life balance? Every time I go to anything. And so I'm usually prepared to be told I need work-life balance, and you should say no to more opportunities and raise your prices and the same stuff, which is fine. It's not horrible advice. I've just heard it a lot. And so when you got up and you had a talk about, like, Jared knows, if you want to get me going, talk about doing a good job. There's nothing that excites me more than doing a good job. And when I have people who also want to do a good job and not like, hopefully people recognize how good I am. It's like, no, I need to recognize how good I am. I should do a good job because I know what a good job is. And I heard the talk and I was like, yes, finally. So why don't you kind of give people, like, I don't know how you want to summarize it because, but kind of tell people a little bit about like this talk about excellence and industry excellence, because you had a lot of really interesting stuff to say about lists and all these different things that I thought was really, really awesome.
Great. Well, I'll start before I talk about excellence. I will talk about work-life balance, which I would like to say I don't believe in. It's not, and this is like, I think a lot of women kind of deal with this in this way. It's like, oh my God, you're a mom and a wife and and it's like, I'm a whole person and all the parts of me find their spot in different moments in different time. And everyone is sort of searching for this, like, was my day today balanced? Did I spend an equal amount of time focusing on myself and focusing on others, or thinking about my family and thinking about my work? And like, that's just actually not how balance works. It's like a much broader, bigger, like you got to stand like 1,000 miles back. So anyway,
yeah, we
I
always
hate when people ask me, how do you achieve work-life balance? I'm like, I don't. And then they think I'm a horrible person.
Well, that's the same that happens to us. And we talk about on the show a lot. We say, you need work-life boundaries. You don't need balance. Ask a farmer from 200 years ago during planting season about balance. Like, balance is over the long haul. Not over.
And also balance isn't 50-50. Like,
No.
that's, the idea,
Yeah.
whatever, this would be a whole separate
You're an
podcast, but it's
adult.
like
You're
this,
supposed to go to work. You're an adult. You
Yeah.
don't want to go to
yeah,
work.
and
You
it's
don't
like,
have
I
to go to
don't
work.
need 50% personal time.
Yeah.
Like someone else might, but my balance is created in a different way. So anyway,
Yeah.
I'm with you.
that's my work-life balance.
We're 100% on the same page. That's why I was always like, I like Lindsay Landman. I like it.
There's definitely been cohesion
Anyway,
there.
So as I mentioned before, I've been in this business almost 24 years. I made up my job, all those years ago, and have been sort of crafting and navigating it ever since. And from this point of view, I really see how our industry has shifted just tremendously beyond recognition from where I started. First of all, when I started, I wouldn't even call what we have an industry. It was like a bunch of people who had jobs that sometimes interacted with one another. We were like floating clouds, and it was like, oh my God, you do what I do, or you know how to help me. But there just really wasn't an industry to speak of. And it was sort of percolating and formulating with, at that time, that's when the Knot was launched. That was the first time that there was like an industry marketplace where you got, I had like one of the first ever ads on the Knot back in the day on the wedding planner page. I think I paid $16 a month or $18 a month. I mean, there's nothing.
Wow.
And I got like all my business from it. I know now there's lawsuits, there's drama. I can't get into that, but it was next to nothing. But at the time I had no money, so it felt like a lot. But it was the first time when I logged on to the page that I could see who the other wedding planners were. Like they weren't even people I knew. I didn't know how to find them. You didn't use the internet in that way. It was so rudimentary that you weren't part of anything. And now we are so part of everything. We know at every thought and every party and every design and every camera that everyone's using, like the amount of information that we have and the visibility that we have into the industry as a whole and to each other and to our businesses has changed everything. And so for me, it's kind of interesting to have like seen it. I say like when I started, we were barely infants, and now we're like preteens. I think our industry has a long
I would
way
say
to go.
the same thing.
Yeah. Like, and the shift from, like, I was calling the pre-COVID years like our toddlerhood. And I really feel like we went from toddlers to preteens actually pretty quickly, because there was such a tremendous post-COVID shift in what everyone needed and how we use the internet and how we got visibility. And I think that's really where this excellence shift kind of became even more prevalent for me. So anyway, so that's my mental backstory as to where I sit and how I see things. But I think that once upon a time, because we didn't have the ability to see what everyone else was doing and to be so obsessed with what everyone else was doing, it was a lot easier to focus on what you were doing, what you as an individual and as a business owner. And that just because there was nothing else to know. So it was like, I'm just going to do my best work and try to figure this out myself. And now we've kind of shifted to this thing where we're part of this sort of, I don't know, we're part of this, I don't know what the word is, like
cult.
Sure, we can go with cult.
It's a culture. It's a culture.
Like
we have our own little.
We're constantly on this. Yeah, like we're on this spectrum with other people all the time, and it has really become, just top of mind for me that we've lost the ability, sort of in the subjectivity of the creative world that we work in, as to what's objectively good, because all we're doing is seeing output. We're not seeing process. We're not seeing connection. We're not seeing how everyone's businesses are managed and what that all looks like. All we're seeing is the photos and videos at the end. And so that has become how everyone's work is viewed and judged, and how people are starting to judge themselves. Like, can I put out a good photo from this event? Not, can I put out a good experience? And so I don't think anyone's meaning to do it, but it's really where we are. And so I've spent a lot of time just thinking about, like, how do we roll it back to think about the actual ways that make us good at our job? I mean, just what you're saying, Jason, like being good is such an art in and of itself. And I really think about it in, from a planner's perspective, obviously what makes a good event and all those things, what makes happy clients, how did my business run well, how do I have money in the bank, all of those things. But to really be able to focus on not just doing enough, but being able to like do more and see what's next and get ahead of it. Not, and everyone's talking about like trends and the design piece of it, and that is important, but that's not what's sort of most important to me. And I think we've just lost our way. And then, and we can dig deeper into all of this, but I think you touched on my addressing these lists, the best of lists that are everywhere. That's added this new dynamic to what is excellence and what is goodness, because we have come, all of us, no matter if you're a photographer, if you're a filmmaker, if you're a floral designer, like no matter where you are in the business, you've come to rely on some arbitrary external source to determine goodness. And there's no criteria, there's no visibility as to how goodness is being seen externally. And so now, in the idea that we're searching for goodness, it's like we're searching for validation.
Exactly.
And when we get the validation, we say, we're good enough.
Yeah.
And so it's sort of, to me, that just like what is making me lose my mind. And I think, just I'll stop talking, but I've had an interesting experience in these last 6 months where I've inherited a couple of weddings where the client hired a different planner and then released that planner and moved to me. So I had a lot of visibility into how other planners do a pretty bad job. And that's been really illuminating, because it's like, who's helping them? Who's telling them? Who's giving them the tools that they need to be better? Do they just think they're good? Because they're not. And is getting fired from that job giving them insight into the fact that they're not good? I don't know. So anyway, that's all my excellence journey. There's so much more to say.
No, I love it. And I think, did that clarify that for you, Jared? As a person who
that's awesome.
So my thought on the whole thing is, like, I think I mentioned it to an Engage, and I don't mean it in an accusatory way, because me and Jared are like, well, who else can be the boss of the industry? It has to be wedding planners. Like, they're the only people with the connective tissue to
everyone
to establish like.
There's so many bad ones, and that's a real bummer.
But that's the problem.
They are the connective tissue, and they're not, not necessarily.
The problem I see with them is they, first of all, are very competitive with each other, and so there's a big status. Like, you can always tell when they're all competing for the same hot photographer or the same hot filmmaker, because they think this is gonna elevate me. Like, and we call them climbers. Like we can always tell when someone hires us because they think we're an intermediary to when they get to work with Jose Villa. Like I think wedding planners using wedding creatives as scaffolding for their business is part of the problem, because they go like, they don't pay for the marketing, right? They're getting all this free advertising from these people. And then but they're using them. They're going like, okay, right now I have to hire this local person for $8,000. But man, and I'll tell you a story. One time I did a wedding, and this planner walks up to me and goes, "Oh, we're so happy we can finally work with real filmmakers." And I was like, what are you talking about? I looked at your feed before here. I know that filmmaker who worked with you here, a real filmmaker. Are we maybe better, more established? Well, that's what they're really saying. But then the next thing they said is very telling. They said, you work with all the planners we like. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that is such a wacky way and to choose vendors.
You've touched on a lot of things that are really interesting to me, because I've spent a long time, years of my career, just being like, I'm going to do it differently. I don't need to, I need to only have vendors and partners who serve my clients. Their job is not to serve me. And I do truly believe that. But then we sort of came to this crossroads where the way that the world sees us is through the lens of our client. Mm-hmm. And that is a real marketing and branding challenge.
Yep.
Because it puts the planner, and obviously the photographer and the filmmaker too, but I think primarily the planner, in this place where we can't always choose exactly who our client is and what their aesthetic is and what their taste is. I mean, for me, I have 2 offices, I have a full-time staff, I have, 2 kids going to private school and college. I got bills to pay. So, I want amazing parties and all of those things, and I want the right parties, and what does that mean, and da da da. But I don't have the luxury to control the client aesthetic in all cases. And not every client is interested in aesthetics in the same way. And so we sort of came to this crossroads where people like me, I feel like, really didn't. I looked at the planners who were so focused, and the designers who were so focused on controlling their brand aesthetic. And they did it through using very specific filmmakers and very specific photographers to be part of that journey with them, to say, we are going to put out work that's looking consistently the same way. We're going to try to attract clients that fill in this little narrow gap. And if there's a client who doesn't fill the gap and just pays the bills, maybe we don't ever see them. Maybe that we don't even know it happened. And you do that again and again, and you really do direct your clientele, and they start to more naturally fill that gap.
Yes.
And that is a partnership that came with planners, photo, and video, for 100% sure. And that was something that I spent a lot of time being like, that's absurd. Like, how do we even get there? But I will say that I feel that, I mean, my business is different than many because we don't just do weddings, and we do a huge part of my business is nonprofits, galas, corporate. We do bar mitzvahs, we do everything, you know. And so, you know, so the idea of being able to put out a year's worth of wedding content, because no one wants to see any other content, maybe a great birthday party, but to put out a year's worth of great wedding content based on only the weddings that fit into this narrow thing, that are shot in a very specific way, was so overwhelming to me. And so like, I didn't even know what to do with that. And the truth is that the way that made me feel that I was perceived from the outside was very daunting, because it wasn't how I ever ran my business. And now I felt like I was being either forced to do it or forced to feel that I was falling behind.
Oh, you should try shooting 230 weddings a year and hear how everybody have their opinion about that.
Yeah.
People are just like, you guys are a wedding mill. Like, they will just say that to us. There will be people who will not work with us because we're good at business.
Yeah, there's a lot of misunderstanding about money in business, in our business. That's again another topic, but
Sure.
you know, so it's like planners, I think, fall into a lot of different categories. And I do think, I mean, I have a lot of admiration for the planners who get it right, who can put out the quality, and who can create a true lane, a true branded lane for themselves. I think if you've done it well and you've done it right, and you can also do it without using the same photographer or filmmaker every time. I think if you can get that right, and there are some that do it, I think it's awesome. And I do think that's truly what a brand is. You know, there's certain planners who are using the exact same team and they have the exact same aesthetic. And it's like, you could pick that out, you know, anywhere. You can be flipping just really quick through your phone and be like, oh, I know whose wedding that is. I know whose wedding that is. To me, the client is completely lost in that journey. And that's not what I personally aim for. Like, I want to be able to see the work that we do and the work that, you know, you guys do and the work that the other team members do, but I never want to not see the client. And I think that gets lost in the shuffle when the brand wins the day. So if you can balance the idea that you are bringing the same level of quality and craftsmanship to your work, but allow the personality and the needs of the client, of the location, to shine through, and build vendor teams around that isn't the same vendor team that gets plopped on. Because once you put the same vendor team, from a planning perspective, I put the same vendor team on every wedding, it's almost impossible to make the weddings feel different. Like, that's literally just not how it works. So the very few planners who really get that right, I think are impressive, and that's what I aspire to.
Well, and also, I'm not trying to be critical of these people, because they're running a business. They have to do what they think is right for them. Like, everybody's running scared, I think, a lot of people. And so I think you're trying to just...
they're running dumb. I'm not sure that they're running scared. I think they're running dumb.
You don't think that they're afraid that someone's going to surpass them? That they're not in competition?
I think that they're afraid that people know things that they don't know, and they're probably right. I think that, you know, we're an industry full of primarily creatives who couldn't get jobs. Like, the jobs didn't exist for them to get in their creative field. I don't mean they couldn't get jobs because
yeah.
When I started my business, you couldn't you couldn't get hired by a wedding planner. That was ridiculous. No wedding planners had staff.
Yes.
Everyone was on their own. I couldn't get a job working for someone like me. It didn't exist. So I had to make my own job. And, I take a tremendous amount of pride in the fact not only that I built a business that I can hire other planners and create jobs and build an actual business, but that so many of my peers can do the same. Because when I started, and even up until 12 years ago, like halfway through my career, it wasn't possible. I mean, I had one person, I had one job. Now I can have 7 jobs. Like that's
pretty awesome.
Very new to our business. Very, very, very new.
Yeah,
to our
and
in your field too.
Yeah, if you're listening to this, we're talking, and like I said, it's inside baseball kind of stuff. We're not trying to be critical of anybody. I think it's just evaluating. Like, I think the framework of the maturity of the industry is probably the most important way to evaluate it, which is like, this is new. We're trying to figure this out. And these problems are almost new. Like, I agree with you. After COVID, like, everything changed. I think the threat created urgency on some level. And so I think a lot of people got better and the stakes were higher. And then the market demand created massive influx of money for at least 2 years. And then now I do wonder if 10 years from now we're going to have retraction because it was an artificial bubble explosion. Who knows?
I hope sooner than 10 years from now. I think prices are offensively out of control.
I would agree. But that being
I can't wait 10 years.
That being said, it is what it is. Like,
yeah.
And so I think, like, if you're hearing it and we're like, I don't think I'm better than anybody. I know Lindsay doesn't think she's better than anybody. I think we're just saying, like, this is where it is. And so, back to your list thing.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, there are these lists that are out there, and I think it's a relic of a bygone era. The bygone era, and we had a whole episode about it if you ever wanted to listen, Lindsay, about publications. And publications were market authority. They would say, like, look at the Harper's list. That was the thing back in the day. And it's I'm a little sad it's gone, to be honest.
Back in the day, like
4 years ago.
Yeah.
I thought that was really telling, though, that they were like, we're not doing this anymore. Like it kind of like, but it was a big deal. And as print has gone away, I think we've have this upstart because there's no barrier to entry. Like if me and Lindsay got off this call and we were like, let's start a wedding magazine. We just have a wedding magazine,
right,
called Northeast Weddings. And then we just make a list of our friends and put them on a list. Or whatever it is, people we think have big social media followings that will make people look at our publication. Who knows? This is my cynical take. But point being
I think, Jason, this is why I said people aren't running scared, they're running stupid, is because, and that's like an aggressive word. It's not really what I mean. But when there's very little thought put into the why of things, right? So it's like as traditional print media went away, now we're getting all of these opportunities for digital media to shine a light on vendors to create content in a way that impacts all of us. And maybe it's a list, maybe it's this feature, that feature. It is all for them.
Yes.
It feels like it's for us. It is not for us.
Mm-hmm.
It is not for the clients. It is for them. Because the goal of those digital editors, for those marketing people, those social media teams, is to get viewership. That is their only goal. They do not give one shit about who the best wedding planner is. They do not care at all who's the best filmmaker.
They wouldn't even advocate, by the way, that they actually should be choosing it. If you actually got the editor aside and said, tell me who the best planner is and tell me the criteria you picked, they're like, I don't know.
Nothing.
Well,
So
viewership of the planners or whoever they're picking, because they know that the planners or whoever they're selecting will repost it and be like, I'm an authority. This one blog says that I'm the authority.
That's their bread and butter.
Yep.
And so the lack of insight into that is actually what creates so much of the problem.
Yes.
Which is that we're seeing, everyone, I've been saying this for years, like, we produce really great weddings, parties, whatever, all different shapes, sizes, and people spend millions, they spend hundreds of thousands, they spend $10, doesn't matter. Because the thing that the guests still with all the bells and whistles, fireworks, drone shows, headline concerts, blah, blah, blah. The thing that from the start gives people the most delight is seeing their own name.
Mm-hmm.
I can stand back near an escort card display. It can be a simple card. It can be something that is made of Murano glass from a Venetian artist that was handcrafted. Doesn't matter. People still say, oh, that's my name. Oh, that's me. The inherent engagement that we get, all of us, by seeing our name somewhere is endless. And this is what is driving all of it, is that these editors know all I got to do is put this girl's name someplace. All I got to do is put this guy's name someplace. And they will be so proud of themselves and so happy and so excited. And you know who else is happy? My mom, my aunt, all these people, my friend from high school I haven't talked to. All these people get engaged in the joy that we get from seeing our own name somewhere.
Yep.
That's what's feeding all of this. There is no tie to any level of anything beyond that. And in the end, it's all some version of clickbait, which is totally fine. Like, I don't begrudge any of it. But I think the idea that no one's thinking deeply about it is weird.
Yeah. Well, me and Jared have talked about this a lot. We're concerned about the lack of authoritative voices in our industry.
100%.
Because the authoritative voices right now are really ego-driven. And I don't mean like the people who are leading the industry are ego-driven. I mean the things that tell us all this is good or bad are really based on what you said, seeing your name. They're not based on a person who knows what's good or bad, a real tastemaker saying like nobody, like we're I don't know, like Marcy Bloom. Marcy Bloom is good at her job. You can say whatever you want about Marcy and her like social media presence and all of her like the things that come along with Marcy that also let people know who she is, the hair and everything. She's actually good at her job. And she was from an era where you had to be good at your job. Like Brian Raffinelli does hundreds of events a year. He is a great businessman. Like, and he's good at his job. And so like, yes, these people have this platform and like they're 3D now. But
the problem is that so many people don't know the difference between what, Marcy and the cute young lady who's, putting out 3 weddings a year, but it looks like she's putting out 30 because of her content and her brand partnerships with photo and video, things like that to craft this image. And the truth is, the way you get good at being a planner is the same way you get good at being a filmmaker, a photographer, or anything else. It's doing it again and again and again. Reps. And when you do, these planners who've done 2 or 3 full service weddings, and they said, I've been in business 10 years, like we do 20, I'm going to do 9 parties this month. So it's like the idea that you did 20 parties in 10 years, like
why are we so obsessed with not doing a lot of work? Why is that like the ultimate obsession in the wedding industry? It infuriates me. You're
feeling that pain, I would say, in a way, because it feels like a topic that's sensitive to you. It's funny because I think about it in a little bit more of like a mid-range thing. Like 200 or whatever you do is just like no one's familiar with that. So it's like, what is that? I don't even understand.
That's true.
And I think if you can do it and you can put out the quality, that's great. I mean, I was on a fan trip once with this photographer who was telling me he shot 150 weddings a year or whatever. And he had been in business 2 years. And I thought to myself, how do you get 150 weddings a year when you've been in business 2 years?
I'm not talking about our big numbers, though, Lindsay. I'm talking about people who scoff at shooting 30 weddings and say, or wedding planners, I only take 5 events a year.
No, I have a lot to say about that.
My goal is to do, I'm going to only shoot 10 weddings. And I'm like, the economics of this don't make any sense. So you think for your entire career, you're going to average 20 grand a wedding? Like, this is nuts.
Well, you base it on you start with a number. You're not basing it on how many can I actually do?
Or what is the volume? Or what is
I'm only going to do 10 this
or,
year.
Like, what could I do? Like, why would I want to purposely limit myself? Like, it's just like, what kind of business starts with the premise of let's limit how much money we can make?
because again, we're not thinking about the 360. I actually had drinks with a lovely planner who I'd like kind of known casually for years, but we never really spent any time together. So she was coming to New York and she wanted to know if we could get a drink. So we go for drinks and we're just talking about our businesses, normal business. And she's like, I only take 6 weddings a year. And I was like, I got to know more. I got to understand what that means. So let's say you have your 6 and then number 7 comes along and it's awesome. It's like, I don't know, or number 8 comes along, and it's a really good one. Like you say, no, I'm good. I'm at my limit. And here's what she said, and I'll remember it till the day I die. The situation has never presented itself.
Exactly.
And that's the thing. It's like we have to think beyond like what the messaging is we're hearing. I only take 10 weddings means I only get 10 weddings.
Mm-hmm.
That's different.
Yes.
And so I think that these goals are, I think we're so, this is exactly my point, is like we're so caught up in this need for marketing and branding and being something that we've lost our way into just focusing on doing something and to do, to do it well and to do it right. Because the idea that I'm a planner who only takes something feels like it makes me exclusive. But what makes me exclusive is being so good that my calendar is full all the time that I need to grow my team and do all these things so that I can work at the top level as many times as someone will take me.
This is how you
ask
know
Marcy Bloom, she would never say that wedding, like that wedding number 7 could be a $20 million wedding. And she'd be like, I don't care. I can sleep when I'm dead.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, Lindsay, this is how you know it's ridiculous, is the amount of planners I know who lie about it and say, oh, I only do 10 a year. Last year I did 17 though. You're like, why? Just say you do 15 a year. Like, why do you think that when you say 10, I'm going to think that's cooler than 17? I think doing 17 is cooler than 10. I think doing.
I guess, but what they're saying, because no planner can do 17 full service weddings.
Sure.
That's the key.
That's true.
So what they're saying is, I did 17. Most of those were day of or partial planning. I only had 2 full planning weddings. Like that, to me, that's how I break that down.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is that there's no, like, my business can handle so much more because I have a full-time staff.
Yeah.
So what's the criteria? If you're a solopreneur and you're sitting with a laptop on your couch in your home or your apartment, like you shouldn't be able to handle more. So what's it's again, a little bit running stupid, right? It's like,
it takes what it takes to do the
doing
job.
weddings one by one? Are we creating a business with like a bigger mindset as to how do I best serve clients in a larger way, right? So for me, I'm at a point where like I'm not super excited about a small wedding that doesn't have a lot of moving parts. Like what I find exciting and interesting 24 years in is like a lot of moving parts, which is exhausting and painful and torturous in so many ways. But it's like, put me on a mountaintop or somewhere overseas or somewhere where it's like I have to ship things on containers in an ocean. Like that's what the logistical challenge of that I find really exciting, because I don't want to just do a hotel wedding in New York City where I've done it 1,000 times before.
That's what me and Jared always say. Like the only reason we started Huxley Film is because, not to say we're bored with the other thing, it just got easy. And once we were like, let's do something hard. Let's push ourselves.
But the clients want the same amount of time and dedication if the project's easy for you or hard for you.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of make the same money either way, so you might as well do the hard thing, which is what I agree. Yep. But so like that's sort of part of it, which is I know that I need to have a team in order to produce at that level. Mm-hmm. Well, once I have a team, I can't just produce at that level on occasion. I either have to do that all the time, or I have to take other projects that are going to pay those salaries and benefits. So it's like, but that's a bigger business thought process. That's not a wedding planner thought process. And not every person is like, the people who are saying like, oh, I only take 6 or whatever. It's because they're not building a business. They're servicing each individual project, which is totally fine. It's just they're different things. And we've lost the ability to compare apples to apples, and our clients have lost the ability to compare apples to apples.
Well, because we don't compare apples to apples ever as an industry. We don't ever, we don't talk about anything that makes anyone feel bad.
Yeah,
like
I do. Someone told me, they're like, you're the queen of the hot take. And I was like, really? I like never even used the word hot take. But it's just like, I'm old. Like I'm not going to talk about hot takes, but I think it's important to look at the truth. I mean, when Jared and I met at Engage in Nemacolin, my talk there was about how I think that tipping should be abolished from our industry. And people were like partially horrified.
Why?
But I think tipping makes literally no sense. Like there's a tipped wage worker, which in many states makes under $3 an hour. That is a person who should receive a gratuity for their work to make them whole. I think, frankly, if you're going to charge 20 something $1,000 to film a wedding, like
Why would I need a
you
tip?
set
Yeah.
your rate.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yep.
It's a night.
My staff are college educated women who make six-figure salaries with benefits and an office and computers and a comfortable chair. Like, not a person who gets a tip.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
It's just
I heard a person asking a question about tipping the other day. It was a bride in a group, and she's like, "Should I be tipping all of you guys?" And I will say to your, not maybe you didn't get to everyone, but I think most people agree with you. And like all the professionals were like the filmmakers and photographers were like, "No, it's nice if you do it, but it's not expected." So I do think we are growing up maybe a little bit in some ways, and it's not all bad. It's not bad at all, actually. I think these are just important conversations to happen. And I think, like, people, I wouldn't say that we have the reputation as a Lindsay Landman. But I would say if you are, like, listening to this, there's a lot of people like us and Lindsay, and even, I mentioned Brian Raffinelli, and, like, the people who are at the top of the industry, guys, the actual top, which means they make the most money. Right. And of course they're good, but like these people who are they're running professional businesses that have scalable processes. And like, I guess I would say before we move on to a different topic, like let's just fall in love with doing a good job and like not throttle our excellence by creating arbitrary rules based on random magazines sponsored by Men's Warehouse. Like the incentive structure of the magazine is not the incentive structure of the client. And even you as a business, like your incentive structure to run your business shouldn't align with the magazine. They don't align. So,
and I'll just add that I think part of the journey to excellence is asking for feedback and then taking it and taking it with, humility, because we're not, even if you're good at your job, like, you can always be better. And I think it's easy for us to be like, I did a good job. Like, look how happy the client is. The clients actually aren't even the ones who know best who did a good job at an event. The people who do events all the time actually know. So it's seeking, all of us seeking that feedback. I was just actually had a situation where we're doing a wedding in Europe, and we did a cake tasting with the client like a couple weeks ago, last week, 2 weeks ago. I don't even know when, doesn't matter. And the cake was terrible. Like, it was actually legitimately, like, it's cake, so it's not like eating a rotten egg, but like it wasn't good. And I had to determine like how I was going to give feedback to this baker, because clearly my clients weren't going to hire them. It was just actually almost bizarrely not good, where you thought like,
what happened?
Did it at least look good?
Yeah.
It did. It was beautiful, but it didn't taste good.
Yeah.
And I really spent time thinking about like, how could I give, you can't be like, that cake sucked, goodbye, because that's not actually constructive, helpful feedback.
Yeah.
You can do it with kindness, and you can do it with, and I was like, what would I want for the next person? Like, that's just how I was thinking about it, is I want to let this person know, thank you for the time. Thank you for the tasting. We're not going to move forward. The flavor profile and blah, blah, blah was not aligned with my client's interests. And then, she's like, well, but why, how, what? Can't believe it. And I was just thinking like, well, I'm not going to be like, it just didn't taste good, because this is her art, right? This is what she does. But I just thought to myself, how can I provide a piece of feedback that could be implemented in a reasonable way so that the next time this person does a tasting, it lands better. And so, that's really how I was trying to craft feedback. And I think we can all do that. And I think it would lift all of us up.
Oh, totally. I think having that level of like honest conversation, there's too much stepping on glass or tiptoeing around like issues like that, when it's just the best partnerships that we've ever had are people that are just, you can have a normal conversation with and be like, give me that feedback. I'll give you honest feedback, and we can get better together and grow together. Like, I don't know how you felt about it, Jay. Like,
I think that
our biggest partners
I think that
super
most
honest
people in the industry are too terrified of wedding planners to ever give feedback. I think that this is
I think that's true.
this is my
ask for
honest
feedback.
opinion.
Ask for
I would
feedback,
never
too.
give a wedding. I have tons of feedback I could give to all wedding planners. I know a lot about it because we work with a lot of people and I know all the situations, and I will never offer that feedback because I have no incentive to. If I do, I will just be hurt. I will get blackballed. People will crap talk me. It will ruin my business. And so until the industry shows a willingness to let the lowly vendors provide feedback to the masters, you won't get it.
Well, let's try. I'll accept all feedback unless it's in relationship to a vendor meal request.
Who cares about a vendor meal? My goodness.
I don't know, but I can't tell you how much time in my life.
Let me tell you, if we
I've
work
lost
together, Lindsay, and
thinking about vendor meals.
you give me a pizza, I'm happy to eat a
That's
pizza.
great.
I'm happy.
I
to
always
eat
want to be like, do you not have granola bars in your grocery store? Because like I can't with you right
Hey,
now.
the time
Like,
it
do you not
takes-
see how much stuff I'm working on?
the time it
Seriously.
takes to eat.
Seriously.
I always am like, let's go back to work. Let's go. So
I know.
anyway, I think all that is really good, and I think we are getting there. So I want to end on a positive
Yeah.
note there because I honestly believe like we just haven't really all talked to each other about this stuff, and I think that's the primary thing. And as people talk more, which is why I wanted to platform this conversation, because I want people to feel like, hey, I can actually go talk to this person about what's going on, and we don't have to do this. We can do a better thing.
Yeah.
But I think we wanted to ask you. I'll let Jared kind of tee it up, but I think it's a really, really good thing, and it's similar to what we were going to talk about at Clarity. And so anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think something that we've experienced as people that I would consider ourselves content creators, even though we're filmmakers. I would consider photographers also content creators. But then you also have people who call themselves content creators kind of on the scene now. And this kind of like mix of like producers of content at post-wedding kind of putting out their, services. And that kind of rollout has I found kind of evolved so much so that like even a couple years ago where, wedding planners are like, video is the next big thing. Everyone needs to be doing video. Instagram loves video. Videographers must just be thriving right now, doing really well. So much so that now videographers are even like, hey, my main client is the wedding planner. Like it's not even the clients at the end of the day. And maybe some wedding planners are saying that too. Like, hey, you're my client or I'm your client. You are hiring, or the wedding planner is hiring the videographer so that you can produce
With
content
the client's money.
for me with the client's money. And, started to see a little bit of that. I think that might be changing, but in general, how do you kind of see this whole world of like content? And you touched on it a little bit earlier where, we're talking about like, content maybe becoming the monstrosity that, everyone feels like they have to serve in order to get out there and become the thing as opposed to just quality. But how do you see content now? Do you see the role of a videographer as like, producing content for you as the planner, or do you really see it as something that's, you're trying to serve the client through that? Like, how do you see this kind of monstrosity of content in 2025?
It is a monstrosity. I find it personally very intimidating because I also like kind of started my business and my career in like such a different era.
Yeah.
So this feels like it was like put upon me, and I'm like, oh, I have to be good at this too. Because by the way, it's not just the making of the content, it's the using the content.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And I feel like that's not my personal strong suit. And because it wasn't a focus of my business, I don't have like a team member who I hired for that purpose. So I do find myself very intimidated by it, but I also see the value, and I can't deny it. Like that's, I feel like we are doing good work. We are doing work that I'm excited about, but like I'm almost 50 years old. Like I can't compete with a 26-year-old who just like grew up knowing how to do this. So I find it very intimidating. But anyway,
Yeah.
So I think that this, I believe it is the planner's job at their core to to do everything in service to the client and to the client's needs and to the output and experience that the client wants. That's what I truly, truly believe. And even if it is to the detriment of the business and marketing of the planner, like I believe that is why we're hired. That's why we're being paid money, is to do what they want. So for me, a lot of times that means that video is not a priority because my clients, most of them are NDA. Most of them do not want, they're not, even if they're on Instagram, they're like, lurkers with like weird names that aren't their actual names. So that, they don't put content into the world.
Yep.
So they're like, it's just not something I'm ever going to use because it's not important to me. And so like, I have to honor that. And it is a detriment to my business. And then, like Jared, we had that experience where I brought you on with like 2 days notice to create a little something. Cause that was the situation where like, they didn't think they wanted it, but then when they had it, they were really happy. And, that's a whole different thing, but
happens every time. Yeah.
I mean, I tell them every time.
Yeah.
So, when we get a client where it is important to them and they're willing to invest in it and they're willing to understand that what content means now, I say this all the time. I'm like, if you told me 10 years ago how important video would be, I would have, I always thought video was important. We always had it at our weddings, but it wasn't like, oh my God, it's the most important.
Yeah.
But like, think about where we're going to be in 10 years from now. And, to let them know that that's something that we have to think bigger about. So, so the bottom line is that I think we have to be in service to our clients. And I think that sometimes means we lose the content game a little bit. And I think that going back to, we were just talking about being a little bit more honest and being a little bit more transparent, being able to have the hard conversations with the clients up front to say, listen, a huge way that I put into the world what I do is through content. And it doesn't have to be important to you, but if it's okay with you, it's something that's important to me and it's a service I'd like to add. And then that should be on the planner's dime, 100%. Like if we have a client who wants they want to invest in film and photo, like in a big way, and it's really important to them, I'm so happy and thrilled. And I know that these are people who are going to put out the content that I'm going to need anyway. I personally don't go to them with big lists of like, here's what I need for me. I just literally watched right before we went on. I was just like flipping through Instagram and I literally saw this like model reel of like a planner, like dancing around at a wedding by herself, doing all this stuff that clearly, and it was like a really well done video that was like a promo video for like her personality. And I was like, oh my God, how did we get here?
Yeah.
I think I would never, ever, ever do that. Cause it's just like my biggest nightmare to dance around in front of a camera and put it on the internet.
Jared, scratch that one. Scratch the shot list for Lindsay.
I mean, I would just like die.
Yeah.
So, all this is to say that I think that there's not a hard and fast rule beyond honoring the client and building from there.
Yeah. I think Jared and I both we struggle with it because we work with the large for, we're Swiss Army knife, to the planner and to the client, and if you want to be creative in this industry with a camera, you don't get to be idealistic. You have to play by the rules set by the market. That being said, I really, really, really do yearn to just make a film for a client. I have no problem whatsoever. I love making content for wedding planners, actually. I think we're good at it. We enjoy doing it. We don't do anything we don't enjoy. That's one of our rules for our company. Is like if we think it's stupid, we don't do it. So and so we like doing it. That being said, we know that if we do a great job for clients, that's not enough. And I think that's unfortunate, I would say.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you're saying too, is like we need to figure out how do we reclaim that. And I'll tell you, I had a conversation with a wedding planner one time. I was like, we're talking about what we like to do. And I said something along the lines of, for me, I want to make something that a family watches when they're older and it's meaningful to them. I like romance. Like I'm an artist. Like I like beauty. Like I like transcendence. Like that's why I'm making wedding art. Not because I want you to like, I want people to think I'm great, but because I want to make something meaningful with my life. And the wedding planner was like, looked at me like I had 3 heads. And she was like,
Interesting, because as you're saying it, it's funny because I think that there's not a lot of thought about that when it comes specifically to video. I'll be honest.
no, I
Because
agree with
I
you.
think that the messaging to the client and the messaging that's in the world is like that your photos are for the intimacy and that your video is for your like exposure. It's sort of like to
Well, but
Yeah.
because it's a
I
6-minute
don't
film, it's a so
yeah.
that social media can't show the film. And the wedding planner
No,
never.
no, I know.
Most
I'm
of
not
the wedding planners who
disagreeing. I'm
ever
just telling
hired
you.
us has never even watched a full one of our films. They just watched the teasers, and so like they don't know that we're like putting in their father who passed away in the film. They don't like this is what I want to be making. This is what excites me. This is why I think I should get paid more because I'm good at that. Like we're
But
uniquely.
I think that's such a worthwhile conversation to have in the sales process is to say what we do is twofold. And one is that, we want to create this heirloom experience where, we create the intimacy and we create the legacy. And that is designed for our client, for the couple. And then in addition, we create these marketing pieces. And by the way, clients can enjoy marketing too,
Of
right?
course.
They want to market their own
Yeah.
wedding.
Yes.
And I think the idea where it's like you're providing this twofold thing and making it super clear that you're doing it, because I do believe that they are smushed in everyone's brains
Mhm.
and they shouldn't be. I think what you're saying really does resonate. So it's like the idea that here's what we do at Huxley Films, or, fill in the blank, which is we do 2 awesome things. One is we create this really emotional piece that is representative of you, your family, your experience, your journey, blah, blah, blah. And in addition, we create something that is, going to be splashy and gorgeous and whatever, and it would be an amazing thing. And because everyone talks about the social edit, the reel, and then they talk about the short edit and the long edit, but they don't talk about the difference.
And the intentionality.
It's not just the length.
Yeah. Yep.
It's the content.
Yep.
And I think making that super clear would be incredibly beneficial for everybody. And I think, all filmmakers can do that because the reel is not just a 90-second version of the film.
I call it planner
It's
porn.
different. Yeah.
It's just porn.
But don't call it like that to your clients.
No. I call it like that to you and to like
Yeah,
internally.
yeah.
We're like, this is
Yeah.
just like pornographic in nature. It's not meaningful.
Yeah.
I understand why. Because if I put out the whole entire thing with wedding storytelling, and you see it too, on the planning side, all the little touches, all the little moments, it's an inside joke, essentially, between this family and each other. So all you're trying to do is externalize their relationship and their history and their past, and everything is so meaningful. And then we take all that and we go like, and then we just throw it out there. We're like, look how big it was, though, and that's great.
Yeah.
There's not like you can't in 30 seconds encapsulate the meaning of that event. It's not designed for that. Society hasn't created a place, and this isn't our fault. This is just society. We don't slow down to ask what the meaning of hardly anything is. And so when your entire life is about making small short films that are creating meaning or events that are meaningful, you're gonna have a harder time pitching that in the world. And maybe you just suck it up. Maybe you just do it. And I do believe like karma is a thing, right? And like you put out to the world what you want. But I do think at the end of the day, like I think it's a battle with yourself, not with anyone else, because it's not anyone's fault. It's not adversarial with your partners or the world. Like there's no point in like spinning against the wind. But you as an individual need to make a decision, I think. Who do I want to be and what do I believe in? And you should stand by your guns. But also, like you said, learn to pitch it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Learn to sell the real thing that you want to be selling. My only question with that you mentioned, Lindsay, is I don't think I ever get to pitch to any clients.
Yeah.
And so wedding planners are selling us and I don't even know what they're saying. Like,
Yep.
And so like I could sell my product much better than any wedding planner. And I know no wedding what I just said to you about my values, I have never gotten to pitch.
Yep. Well, I agree that this is a problem. I think, it depends who the client is. Like our clients really don't want to talk to anyone else
I
beside us.
understand.
Like,
I understand.
and I,
Yep.
I, I appreciate the downside of that. It's not that I don't. But I do think that you're selling to me and I'm selling to them. And again, like I think I'm good at my job. So I try to,
Totally.
like, to me, to differentiate you as an artist versus, Jane, the videographer, like I have to be able to say why pick
Hmm.
Yeah.
Jason and Jared versus Jane and Julie. I have to, that's my job to do that. And so the more I know, the better I should be able to do.
Yeah.
So that's
But I
that's a
also,
great point. So just not to stop you, but I guess if the advice I think we would give people is learn to explain yourself to the people you need to explain yourself to.
yes.
Yes. Yes.
And I think that's great advice.
To point the finger back at us, I don't think it's something filmmakers have done a good job
No.
in aiding, the planners of the world, the coordinators, whatever, on like what we do. And even you said it, Lindsay, like you've never seen that in what we put out, right? On social media, like you haven't seen that aspect. I always will take credit and responsibility to be like, how can we show that? We talk about it all the time. Like, how can we make this like short thing with this, attention span of a, mouse, where people are just like looking for some sort of hit of dopamine immediately. How can we translate those values quickly to the world? Like, I think it's hard to do.
It's been a while
yeah.
since I looked, so maybe it's not there anymore. But I remember looking. Do you know Fulton Events?
Yeah.
Caitlin. Okay, so I don't know. I was on her Instagram page, and I said I was going to do it for my business because I liked it so much. But then, of course, I subsequently did no such thing. But so you can pin 3 squares at the top, and her 3 squares were not her most recent events, not her big splashy things. It was actually like the slightly more in-depth about, it's like about her, about the team, about something else. And it was just like really well done. And now I'm going to look and see if it's still there, if she's changed it since. Yeah. But it really resonated with me. And I thought more people should do it because the truth is that, I just built a new website. Does anyone go to it? I don't know. I know people go to my Instagram feed. So, so the idea that just taking the small opportunities to give a little bit more of the why, because the what's everywhere. And so, I think the why, when people are open to the why, they're open to it. When they're just looking at what, there's nothing we can do about it. We can't control anybody else and how they think things through, but we can, just put out there like a little bit more of the why, because the truth is I find it frustrating. I'm sure you do too. When I feel like my website, I think has all the words and all the things, and it says what we do and what we don't do. And then people come to me and like kind of waste my time asking me to do things I don't do. And I'm like, read the website.
Yeah.
So
that's our elder millennial status right there.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if you have any other questions you want to ask, but
No. Lindsay, this hour has flown.
Yeah, it's been very good.
It's a very fast conversation. We've already been talking for an hour.
All the Northeasterners, we're going.
I know, we're just
That's
going.
right.
But very interesting stuff. The thing that I just appreciate about you so much is not only the passion that you have for your business and your events, but kind of like the broader event community as well. And it, shows through, when you speak at Engage, and very clearly, the people that I'm interested in the most in our industry are people that want to see it get better. When you first started, you said, we've grown from infancy to like almost like preteen world, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. I'm gonna ask her about that, because I would feel like we're like further along than preteens. But I think you answered that question really well and just identified a million things that we're still working on.
We just got
man.
technology. We just got industry specific technology. Yeah. I was drawing floor plans with the little, what do you call that plastic thing you had in elementary school with all the shapes?
Yeah.
And like a protractor.
Yeah.
Like that was not long ago that I was doing that. We're getting there.
And we just got AI, and who knows what that's going to bring.
I would say try to talk
to
anyone in the industry about a project management platform and watch their heads explode.
Probably not planners, to be honest, but photographer, filmmaker for sure.
But yeah, I think she's right. It's to my point.
Yes.
But we're getting there, and I appreciate what you said, Jared. Thank you. And I, because I have no work-life balance, this is a huge part of what fills my world. And so I want it to be great, and I think we're capable of it. And I think that, I always tell this story many years ago, probably 20 something years ago. I was doing this wedding at the Pierre Hotel in New York, which is like one of our very fancy,
Yes.
very high-end five-star hotels, old New York, classic, whatever. And it was definitely like one of the first like bigger, fancier weddings that I was really working on. And, I'm like buzzing around doing my thing during the wedding. And the bride's, I don't know, like uncle, like an older gentleman, pulled me aside and he's, honey, are you the party planner? And I was like, yes, I am. And he goes, I have a question for you. He's like, this is beautiful. I have a question. What do you do during the week? And I can picture this guy like I saw him yesterday. And it always sat with me because it's like people don't understand the depth and the complexity of the work that all of us do. And it is part of my mission to be able to take ourselves seriously so that we are taken seriously externally. Because I think that is actually what builds value. People just want to put a price tag on things and then work backwards and think the value comes. And I just don't think that that's how it works. The value comes from the understanding of who we are and what we do and how hard the work is that we do and how seriously we take it and how important it is to our clients, to the success of the events, the industry as a whole. And so, I think my commitment to it is just sort of like being part of building that bigger understanding.
Yeah. Well, we really appreciate that. That really resonates with us. We've tried to do our little part in our community to help them to be a little more professional and also to run sustainable businesses, because excellence actually comes from tenure. Mm-hmm. And if people are flaming out every 3 years, and we have an entire new group of vendors every 3 years in a certain industry category, sometimes that's good. You have new blood, that's good. But if you're getting started, awesome. We welcome you. But also, it's great to have people who run great businesses for other people to pattern off of and to create sustainable excellence and better financial positions and better negotiating tactics and just real businesses that are profitable and that are fun. That's what I want. I want to have fun. I want to make something beautiful, and I want to make money. Yep. And if I think that's what people are about, and that's what we're about. And I think if you're listening to this, and that sounds good to you, check out the rest of our episodes. And of course, really, really think about what you're doing. I think Lindsay had a lot to say about a lot of really good topics, and obviously she's coming from a planner perspective, and I think that might have some unique things to you as a wedding filmmaker, but I think all of that stuff is still valid and very important, which is like, do a good job. Like, really focus on doing a good job. And like for filmmakers, that means like, don't be late. Like, don't with anything. You don't show up late. Don't deliver late. Don't miss emails. Like, this is like the simplest little thing you can do that is like, I wouldn't even call that excellence, Jared. I would call that like competence.
Fundamentals. Yeah.
So don't be incompetent.
Yeah.
Don't wear dirty, schlumpy clothes to a wedding.
Yes.
Please.
Yes.
Lindsay,
Please.
I can't tell you how many
the filmmakers are like the
filmmakers are the worst. I show up with
like
a jacket to weddings, and they're like, and
jeans.
the photographer's like,
no jeans.
No jeans. Yeah.
No jeans.
We'll show up with jackets.
Even black jeans are still jeans.
Yep.
Just putting out.
And the wedding planner noticed them.
Yep. I'll show up with a jacket to some weddings, and some photographers will be like, "You are the first filmmaker I've ever seen wear a jacket to a wedding." I'm like, "What? That's insane to me."
When we first started as filmmakers, we would wear ties everywhere. We don't always wear ties now, but we always try to wear a jacket.
Yeah.
But we wear ties everywhere because we didn't know that we were supposed to be unprofessional. And so we showed up at things, and we didn't know any wedding filmmakers at all. We only knew photographers and planners. So we'd show up at Boston events, and we'd be wearing ties. And I remember one time I showed up for a lunch or something with a person, and I wasn't wearing a tie. I was dressed like, this is better than I normally dress. I normally wear a black hoodie every day. And because I'm sitting in a dark cavern, so what does it matter? So, and then I go home and get spit on by a 2-year-old. So I go and have lunch with, and this planner, it was Tyra Bleak. Mm-hmm. She was like, "This is how you dress?" She was like, "I thought you wore ties every day." And I was like, nice.
Good.
Yeah.
You know, and like that's what you should want. You should want people to think you're a really stylish guy, even if you just wear hoodies
That's
every
right.
day. So
That's right.
cool. So good to talk, Lindsay. And like, you know, I'm just really, really obviously in your corner and really appreciative of what you're bringing to the table to our industry. It's
Great
good to
to
have
have you.
people like that.
Yeah.
If you haven't subscribed. You haven't in anything with the show, Jared?
Yeah, just all the things. You know, now we have 3 YouTube channels: Wedding Film School, the Wedding Film School Show, Wedding Film 101. So check those 3 out, kind of depending on where you are in your wedding film journey. The Facebook group, always happening. If you want to connect with
17,000 strong.
If you want to connect with the broader wedding film community, see what's happening, see what the conversations are, that's a place to join as well. Get connected and also get some, you know, second shooter opportunities. Yeah, that's a good place to go as well.
And all of you reach out to Lindsay, ask her what you need to do to be referred to her.
Don't do
All
that.
17,000 of you.
Drop it on the
Get back to
IG.
you
Please drop it in her
in
IG. That's where
2028.
But
Thank you guys so much.
thank
for
you,
having me. I
Lindsay.
appreciate it.
Yep. We'll see you soon.